Welcome to the early access version of Kerbal Space Program 2, and this little mini-series I'm going to be putting together, there's essentially 5 videos following this one, which are going to go through the basics for pretty much for beginning players. All sorts of different things we'll actually cover with that one. Here we go. Hello, this is Valentina, I think her name is. I love these intro screens. It's really cool. The graphics in the game is amazing. I thought with this introduction video I'd talk a little bit about about where this particular program is, particularly if you're somebody that's returning to Kerbal. So the rest of this series will be tutorials for people who do pick up the game. The tutorial series in the game is exceptionally good. Really cool the way it sort of does actually work, but there are some things where the practicalities of some of it don't really sort of show in the application of it. And so I'm hoping that this series will actually just, I guess, help people with those sorts of aspects. Before I get started with this, actually this will be a fairly short video I would think, but I do want to thank my supporters, whether you be Patreon supporters or whether you've bought merchandise or any of the other myriad ways that you can actually sort of support the channel. I certainly do appreciate everything that everyone does for the channel and for me, of course. It all helps. And also, if you do like this sort of content, please consider liking and subscribing. Again, it does help enormously with the YouTube algorithms, and also actually gives me better access to games as well. The developers are more likely to make use of my video content to then sort of show what they do. And so Kerbal Space Program, again, special thank you to the developers and to the publishers and the publication people, or not publication, the public relations people as well, that I've been dealing with the program. I very much appreciate having this inside run at being able to produce this content before the launch of Kerbal Space Program 2. Anyway, that's all the thank yous out of the way. Is this game worth getting? Yes and no. Okay. No at the moment because it is so full of bugs. There's so many little problems with it. Now, I'm recording this after I've done my actual tutorial series because I really wanted to spend a lot of time really getting a feel for the game and the sorts of things, the frustrations of the game. And there are a lot of frustrations, I've got to say, with the way it's the current state of the game. And remember, this is launching into early access. The big frustrations, most of the frustrations can be solved with a reload. So just be aware of that. You've got now multiple, I think you've got 5 quick saves. So if you press the F5 key and then go and press the F9 key, you will be able to then load in the last of the quick saves. But you've got 5 of them. So make use of them as you're building things. I love this. It's just distracting me, sort of just watching everything sort of float by. It's a beautiful game. But make use of those 5. In Kerbal Space Program 1, we only had 1 quick save, I think it was, and then the quick load. But you can actually go and load from any of those quick saves. And so that's actually important, particularly with the state of the game, because there are so many little problems with it. And look, they'll get ironed out. Half of them will probably already be ironed out by the time you're watching this video. I just don't know. But I would assume that the bugs will be coming thick and fast over time. So just be aware of that, because there's still a lot of development to be done inside the program. And so if you're somebody who is not going to be very forgiving of the state of the game, and as in terms of the bugs and so on and so forth, and if you're not going to be very forgiving with a game that is now a few steps backwards from where Kerbal Space Program number 1 is, then you probably will be frustrated with the game. And so I wouldn't recommend picking up the game if you're in that category. If you are happy to sort of be part of the ride, because this will be the future of Kerbal Space Program. This is you can see the building blocks are here for something really quite exceptional. So if you're willing to come along for the ride, then yeah, get in early and grab it. So do I recommend it? Yes, I do, with that caveat of it's not going to be for everybody, and not at this point in time anyway. Now, let's talk a little bit about who would actually be the sort of player who would actually like this. If you've never played the original game, have a look at the tutorial series, at least have a look at part of it. You'll get a feel for whether the complexity of the game is going to be fun for you or not fun for you. Now, the game really does do an incredible job at actually explaining and sort of really working with orbital mechanics. So you really are sort of halfway to being like a rocket scientist by the time you've sort of played Kerbal Space Program. It's in that terms, in the terms of its simulation abilities with space, there's just nothing else like it. And so, the original game was like that. This one is, if anything, slightly easier than when well, actually it's a lot easier than when the original game first launched, but there still are some tools that I'm having troubles with. I've seen other footage of other people who have actually didn't have the same problems that I've had. I don't know why I can't see what's coming up with the periapsis amounts and things like that. You'll see what I mean when I get into the game. But there's certain things that will get fixed, but that are super frustrating for me anyway at this point in time. Still loving playing the game, but with a fair amount of frustration. So I am looking forward to playing the game, though. You know, it will be one of my favourite games. I'm sure of that over the coming 10 years, I would think, because I think the game is going to have a long time to build itself up, like the original game did as well. So in terms of the actual game itself, it doesn't have the career progression yet. That will be coming. So at the moment, the original game is certainly way ahead in terms of that sort of factor of enjoyment of developing science and doing all your science stuff, and then sort of using that to then buy component parts, then sort of building up from that aspect. The original game is better than, well, this. It's not in this game yet. It will come, it's just not here yet. There's a few things like that where the original game had a lot of improvements done over time that aren't in this game at this point in time. Now, having said that, the combination of the tutorials and the tools they actually have available do make this one an easier game to get into. Not in a dumbed down way, but just in a terms of information wise. There's more information for new players to get an understanding of what's happening with the game, and I think that that's a big plus. So it is going to be better for I guess more casual players of these sorts of games. It's still complex, but and I'm hoping that this little mini series will just go and help a little bit, just to sort of round out some of the issues you may have. Let's talk a little bit about the videos in this series. So this is video 0. This is episode 0 essentially, which is just an introduction and just letting you know about the game itself. But you can see the graphics are unbelievable. Like they're just incredibly good graphics. So I'll keep on talking about the game actually before I talk about the series. Graphics wise, you can see the promise of what's coming. You can see it in here. This is sort of part of the modeling that's actually coming in through this one. Now this is going much smoother than what it does in my game. I've got a medium strength computer, and it struggles with this game at this current point. I think that they will optimize over time. Quite often games are not optimized when they're at this stage of development, and this game is not optimized. So there's a lot of frame rate issues. You'll see that in the series that I actually put together when certain things are happening. Like, for example, when we're changing stages or decoupling and things like that, it really does struggle with that at this point in time. I have confidence that will be fixed and will be fine in the future. But have a good look at the system requirements before you commit. That's very important. They're incredibly high requirements. The bar to get in is really quite high as far as your computer is concerned. And as I say, my computer struggled, and it doesn't tend to struggle with games. But in this game, it really does sort of just chug along. It still does it, but it just does it slowly at certain points. So that's one thing to be aware of. As I say, the bugs, there's a hell of a lot of them at the moment in the version of the game that I'm playing. Hopefully a lot of those will be ironed out at launch, but that was frustrating, but I still love playing the game. What else is there to talk about? You can now customize the colors on all of the different components. You've got like different color schemes. You can do it across the whole ship. And it sounds like it's very frivolous to talk about this. In fact, what I might do is let's just go in, and I'll just quickly go through. I will. Any excuse. Let's just go and load in. I've just got an auto save through there. We'll just load the game in. I think this is the very last scene of the. This is probably when this is going to load in. I think, which is to show the landing of a plane, an aeroplane on runway number 1. There it is. So that's where the series will finish up with Valentina Valentina Kerman inside the cockpit of her crashed jet. So that's what you can look forward to. But look at the graphics. Look at the graphics of the actual of where we actually are. It is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. We have so much going on. So let's talk a little bit about the changes. You can see even this looks fairly responsive with what we can sort of see through here. Let's go for a bit of a tour of the Space Center. Now I can't just go everywhere. I'll just press escape and we'll just go back and go to the Kerbal Space Center. So we sort of, actually I can go in around. Okay, I just can't move around. I can zip around. So we don't have all the things we had in Kerbal Space Program number 1. We do actually have the VAB, which is back over through here, so the Vehicle Assembly Building. We've got the Training Center back over through here, and as I say, the tutorials are excellent in this game. They're just incredible. We've got the Tracking Station back over through there as well. This is good, particularly as you sort of start to play more and more of the game and have more and more different sorts of crafts trying to do different things. We've got the launch pad in through this side. Now this is Launch Pad 01. Let's have a bit of a look around. Over this other side, we've then got 2 runways, not just 1 runway. So we've now got double the runways of KSP1. If we keep on having a bit more of a look around, you'll see that there's all trees and things. Another launch pad, another launch pad, another launch pad. There's 4 launch pads that we actually have in through here as well now. Woomerang is gone, or it certainly didn't see a reference to that. Now, I'm actually really hoping they bring Woomerang back because I was born in the town that it was named after, which is Woomera here in Australia. And so Woomerang is like a play on the word of Woomera and Boomerang, and Woomera is the Australian launch site back from the 1960s and 50s, etc. So anyway, that's my hometown. So I'm sort of hoping that they do bring back that. I'll have to set up some sort of hashtag campaign to sort of try to get that one reinstated. Anyway, back over here, we've got another launch area. This is actually the dock launch. So this is another way of actually launching. You can launch into the oceans. And this could be actually quite useful to test for going to some of the ocean worlds that are in the game as well. And so this is all very, very new and very exciting, but we don't actually have any of the administration centers. They're here, they're just not activated yet. And so they will be coming over time. Now, the reason that we've got all of these different extra runways and the reason we've got all these different launch pads is that eventually the game will actually have multiplayer. And that's exciting as well. So you'll be able to play the game multiplayer where different people are doing different things. You'll be able to then have collaborations to build space stations. I really can't wait for this aspect of it. Like, I don't tend to play very many multiplayer games, but I could see that being quite a fun session to actually sort of try to create a space station, for example, where 2 different parties are building different aspects of it that have to then have it all, come together and make it work. I don't know how that's going to work, but anyway, it does sort of sound like a lot of fun. Now, in terms of the VAB, let's have a quick look at that one. As I say, the training centre, brilliantly done, like absolutely brilliantly done to explain the concepts, the basics of the game, but it doesn't really go through the practicalities, which is why I made this series. The VAB, if we just go back into there, a lot of these things load in fairly quickly, like they actually do load in. So if we just go and very quickly build just a very basic sort of spacecraft, so I'll just go and start to add in some different bits and pieces. I won't spend any real length of time here. I'll just go to heat, thermal, small, throw this one in. And I'll just put a little bit of fuel tank. Actually, I'll just better put a decoupler. Don't worry, I'll be going through and explaining in nauseating detail how to do this sort of stuff in the next episode. Actually, the next episode we will be building a very sort of small spacecraft. Let's just go and build another one. Build another one in through there, for example, and we'll just put a rocket on the back end of this one. Not that this is really of any great use to it, but if we just go to which we use, this one here is very, very powerful. So we've got like a powerful little ship in through here that a powerful little rocket that could sort of get our way back. Now we've left that one. We'll just go and get rid of it. One of the great things with this game, and if I just sort of zoom back out and just so we can sort of see what's going on with this, is just the personalization. Now, one thing you'll notice is that the actual connection points have now been designated to extra small, small, medium, and large. Now, these all relate to the different diameters. Now, in Kerbal Space Program 1, the diameters were listed, but it was very, very hard to understand what went where. I don't know, this is such a simple change, but God, it makes such a difference when you're putting a rocket together. Why on earth they didn't build KSP-1 with that in mind, I've got no idea, because it's just such a simple way of doing things. It just works incredibly well. The sound in the game is awesome. I will actually launch this rocket so you can sort of get a bit of a feel for it. But before we do that, we can sort of personalize the actual rocket itself. And so if I go back in, I've got like ways of using a color manager. And so if I wanted to say, for example, change the colors, I've got like a primary and a secondary color. So if I just go across to the primary color, if I just go and click on that, actually can go to the red. No, the red actually it's got base and accent. Now, if I make it completely see-through, and then just apply it to the whole assembly, you'll see it. We now just go straight down to base metal. So it's if you make it whatever color it is, if it's you can have it so it is just literally base metal, fully reflective, which looks great. So there's things like that, for example, or you can sort of bring it back up and have like a bit of a combination where you can see through part of it, but not through all of it. So anyway, you've got that sort of change in through there. Again, you've got all these different colors that you can sort of then go for. So if we had like the base color being this blue color, maybe sort of like a bit lighter, something like that. Then the accent color maybe sort of going with more of a purpley sort of black color or something like this, and then just apply it. We can apply it to the whole rocket, and so suddenly we're getting personalized rockets which look great. It doesn't stop there though. If we decide, okay, well, let's have this part of it, this color scheme, but we'll go back and we'll do another yellow sort of yellowish sort of tone with this other one for this area. We can go to the individual parts and change them as well. So we can really change the look of the ships, which is just enormous. And so there's a lot to like about just the personalization. It just looks so cool. Anyway, that's just one little aspect about the changes in through here. A lot of these things that are in here, it still feels the same as KSP-1 to a degree, but just with a simpler sort of style. If we now take it to the launch pad, there's a few little things that are also different in here as well. And so here's our rocket. When I press go, it will then have it'll have a countdown. You may not be able to hear it. Hopefully you will. So we've got a countdown. We can skip the countdown if we wanted to. There we go, launching up. And I don't know if you can hear the sound, but it is just incredible. It's actually real recordings of real rockets. Let's tilt this thing over. Whoa, we've lost our way here a little bit. Yeah, we don't have any control surfaces, so let's just cut the engine off, and we'll just come back down safely. So we'll just decouple from there, just turn off our SAS, and that way it will then sort of float around. We're a fair way up. There's the KSP. We're still actually going up. It's still, yeah, we're now starting to come back down again now, I think. Here we go. The cloud layer is three-dimensional. There's that little island with there's a runway on it, so that's actually still there. So they've still got that runway. Boomerang may be over these mountains, but I'm just not sure. And it's just beautiful. The game is just absolutely beautiful. Even the windows, now actually you can see inside the windows. So that is Jebediah inside there with his in his spacesuit. Not that we can sort of see too much that's actually going on through there. All right, time to pop the chute, I think. Up she goes. Even these actually have got sound. They sort of flap around in the breeze. But it is just enormously good, this program. Down we come. It'll fill up fairly quickly. There we are. I should have built a rover and just gone for a bit of a drive around to see what the actual centre is like. This was the administration centre. I don't know, that looks like all fuel tanks back over through there. Is that tennis courts? Looks like it is, doesn't it? I don't think it is. No, you don't have two nets. I'm not sure what that is over that side. This could be the pilot quarters, for example. Anyway, that's what the game actually does look like. In terms of the video content, the next episode, episode 1, I'm going to be going through the finer points of building a rocket that will get you into orbit, because that can be very, very difficult for players to actually get an understanding of how to do that, what to look for, when to start sort of moving things around, how to sort of control your ship, so that going from design into essentially, well, the first video 1, will be the finer points of designing a rocket like that. And so I do go through and explain a lot about the different types of fuel, different types of engines, etc., etc., etc. Episode 2, we then launch and take it into orbit. So I just go through again the points as to what an apoapsis is, what a periapsis is, you know how to sort of manage those effectively so that you don't end up with wildly crazy sort of orbits. You know, we want to get as close to circular as we possibly can. Episode 3, we then look at building so we go and build a much, much larger rocket, and a rocket that will then be able to go and land on the Mun. It's not the moon, it's the Mun. And so that's going to be, like when we design that particular rocket, that's going to have a lander component to it. It's going to have multiple stages. We're going to be looking at how to sort of then work out what we need in terms of the fuel and the thrust of the actual rockets at different stages to do what we need it to do. And so then episode 4 is a fairly long episode. I was going to split this into 2, but I forgot to stop the recording, so I did it all in one. And that is launching, going into the orbit, creating an orbit that will then get us to the Mun, circularizing the orbit around the Mun, and then landing on the Mun, and then returning back to Kerbin again. So the full mission, essentially, with all the things to look for if you're going to do it. Now, I'm hoping that people don't just copy my rocket, but just experiment with yourself. I go through the principles of how to do it more so than the actual specifically get this component and put this one here. You can do anything you like. It's just a matter of just a bit of practice, I think. And then finally, the last episode is that space plane that we saw that was over there somewhere at this point in time. Well, actually not over there, because I'm probably showing a clip of the actual of what we're doing. Anyway, that's going to be then going through how to design just a simple little jet, and then also how to just some tips on how to fly it and some tips on how to land it. Because landing can be very, very difficult in the game, but there's just a quick little way of actually doing that, which I do go through in that particular video. And that's it. That's the series. So anyway, guys, our craft is just about to finally come back down and here and land on the edge of the ocean, on the beach. And so Jeb is now safely back on the ground. Successful mission. But no, it really is a nice game, and nothing went wrong in this one. Like this was, here we go, we're now rolling. We're probably going to roll into the ocean. I guess we should actually wait and see what actually does happen here. This could be fun. Not that it matters. Oh, hear the sound. This is the joy. Look at him. He's like it's actually accurate, like with the light sort of coming through. He's feeling sick. He's not enjoying this at all. I think we're going to miss the ocean. I think we're going to miss it, but we may end up on the docks. He's really, and again, this is the joys of Kerbal Space Program. It's the fun that you end up having with when just silly little things don't go exactly according to plan. But God, it's been such a joy playing the original, and I just can't wait to see the development of this one here. Here he goes. He's now got his smile on. He's actually a bit happier than what was actually happening through there. So anyway, he's back on the ground. He will roll back. By the way, if you are playing the game and you're having things like this roll around, turn on the stabilizer, and it will then just lock itself in if it can. There's actually reaction wheels inside these capsules. And there you go. There's a little tip as well that I haven't even done in the tutorial series, but the stabilizers will actually help with that. So when you're coming in, you don't want the stabilizers on, but when if you're trying to sort of get these things stable, you can do it. In fact, you can actually turn them on and then even try to sort of flick them over if you can. So you can sort of just use the WASD keys. Because they've got reaction wheels, you can maneuver it. Anyway, just an extra tip. This series will have a lot of information, I guess, for new players. I hope it's helpful. If you do like it, as I said at the start, please consider liking and subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next episode.